I just had such a great conversation with my new friend, Paul Zanardo, with Zanardo Designs here in Atlanta, Georgia. He does all things website, SEO, as well as video. And it was great just to hear how his business has grown and the iterations that he's done, the things that he's learned over the last decade of being in business, especially as a fellow believer. I'd love to hear his perspective on his business and his purpose. So here's my new friend, Paul. Welcome to Market Mavericks. I'm Matthew Eford. Join me as I speak with leaders who are redefining industries in every corner of the market. From startups to established businesses, we'll uncover the strategies, challenges, and insights that drive success. Get ready to be inspired by the Mavericks who are shaping the future of business. Welcome, everyone, to Market Mavericks. I'm Matthew Eford, and I have my new friend, Paul, with me. We have a mutual friend, John Ray, who connected us, and I'm so excited to have Paul on to talk about his business and marketing. So, Paul, those who don't know you, tell us about your business and tell us about the role that you have in your business.
Absolutely. Just thank you so much for having me on. I've been looking forward to this one for a while. So I am Paul Zanardo, the CEO and founder of Zenardo Designs. And I started my business 10 years ago, and
Okay.
we do digital branding. So website design, we do a lot of social media, a lot of SEO, we do graphic design, video marketing.
Nice. That's fantastic. And what were you doing before you started your business?
My background is in sales and marketing, and I made a lot of money, but I was making a lot of money for other people too. And I was raised a Christian, but I had gotten away from that. My parents went through a really bad divorce,
Okay.
and I stopped going to church and just thought I was doing great with making the money. This was before I was married and have a family, and I was trying to do things my own way, and that's always a mess,
Sure.
like on the outside, it looked like I was really successful, but I was really struggling, like the depression, anxiety, addiction. Like I went through a lot of self-harm. I have scars all over my body that you can't see.
Wow.
Before I got my life back on track, which is something that I always give my parents credit for, is they did raise me in church. So when I was done with myself, I knew where to go back to.
Yeah.
I knew to turn back to Jesus.
It's like the,
So
the prodigal son returning home. He knew
yes,
where
and
home
it
was.
it is strange for me, and it's honestly, it's just been within the past, I don't know, few months that I started to share more deeply about what God's done for me, because I'm, ashamed of my past like that.
Sure.
Uh, I was embarrassed. I was like, God's been asking me to share it, and I was like, how do I share it? It's really deep and it's dark and it's, embarrassing, but then it's also kind of like having memories from another person, because I have been washed clean, and I am a
Yeah.
new person through that. So
Wow.
it is odd, but I have a lot of experience that I can help others with.
I love that. Well, I appreciate you sharing very much. It's a reminder that no one's perfect. Everyone has their issues. Everyone has their demons, as some will call them, they go through, and there's only one who's ever lived perfect, and it's Jesus Christ. And I appreciate you sharing that with us. So, talk to us from your business standpoint. You started 10 years ago. Think back 10 years ago. Tell us the first 12 to 24 months. What's the good, the bad, the ugly? Talk us through that first year or two of your business.
Yeah. So, when I went back to school for graphic design and web design at the Art Institute, I knew that I wanted to start my own business. And so I learned enough of the programs that we use for design to start my own business. So I got my LLC actually the same year that I graduated,
Okay.
um, in 2015. And also, that's when we had our son. And so I started a business not knowing we were going to get, this was God's plan, but that was super scary. I'm
Sure.
like, God, did I hear you right? Did you give me this vision for my business now? And now you give me a son. So that was super scary, going from making money to starting my own career and owning my own business and entrepreneurship. But I remember, our first client was a cat. On
No
social
way.
media. We
No way.
designed this cat named Mr. Meow Meow, his Christmas card. It was like a $30 gig, and I was so excited about it. I mean, fast forward 10 years later, we've got clients nationwide doing websites for 30 grand up and things like that. But it's scary when you first start out. I didn't know where the clients were going to come from, and I didn't know how to network, and I had to just learn all of that.
Sure. And so as someone who's in the digital space, how have you found success in marketing? What are some, we have a lot of small business owners, solopreneurs or entrepreneurs that listen to this, and they're always looking for ways to help market their business. What advice would you have in that space?
Yeah, absolutely. So my background in sales and marketing did help me a lot because I know how to market myself. I've been marketing for other companies, but social media, that's a big one. I would stay away from and I get a lot of flack from my fellow marketers, but I don't do any paid ads. My company,
Okay.
we don't do paid ads. We don't do pay per click. We don't do Google ads, social media ads. We don't do any of that. It's all organic, relational driven. So, if you just find a couple platforms, maybe try two that fit for your business and consistently post, make sure you're showing up. And
Okay.
then two, you want to engage with your audience, not just on your post, but on other people's posts, other businesses,
Nice. Okay.
and people see that and go back to your page and see what you're all about. And that's a very effective way to market and cost effective too.
I love that. So how do you help a business owner vet what platforms to be on? So
Yeah.
is there different platforms based off the industry or what do you mean by that?
Yeah. So what we have, there's so many different platforms out there, and they all kind of drive a market for different types of people. So having a conversation with a company to understand their business needs and their audience and where their audience is helpful. LinkedIn is, becoming more social, but it's still very business to business oriented, a lot of B2C too. But then, I've seen a lot of online stores selling on TikTok. Like
Okay.
their algorithm is crazy good. There's issues with the Chinese situation.
Yeah, sure. The
You
back
know,
end security piece of it. Yeah.
right, right. But, and Instagram Reels, the video content there, you
Okay.
can sell a lot of products. So it just kind of depends. If you're just trying to get brand awareness out there, you could do X, which was Twitter. So there's lots of different avenues that
That's
you can.
fantastic. So talk us through going from $30 to a $30,000 website development. What does that kind of revenue ramp look like for you? You don't have to give us specific numbers, but how did you incrementally grow? Because that's something that people always want to know, right? How did you get from doing a $30 gig to that bigger $30,000 gig?
Yeah. So that didn't happen overnight, and it's a journey, and having the people around me, successful people, other businesses, like-minded people like yourself, followers, a lot of prayer, a lot of it I just attribute to God, honestly, because
I love that.
I look at my business and I'm just super surprised and just amazed at everything that he's done in my business. Networking has been huge for
Okay.
us. Those are, God, networking, surround yourself with successful people
I
for
love
sure.
that. So let's talk about each one of those. So your faith. This is not typically a question I ask on this theme of the podcast, but we've opened up this conversation, so I'd love to kind of dive in a second. How do you allow your faith to influence you as a business owner?
Yeah. So we put God first in everything we do. I pray with my team before we meet with clients, just throughout the day. I have personal time, devotional time related to business, and I honestly, I pray that not for financial success, but success in the way that I would be able to serve other clients through God, that God would allow me to serve others. So I pray for Him to give me the wisdom, the discernment, and the knowledge that I need to add value to our
I love that.
clients.
I love
And
that.
He's never let me down.
Yeah,
So
amen. That he will not. So then you've got that, you've got networking, and then we're going
yeah.
to touch on the last. So let's touch on networking for a second. Where have you found, there's mastermind groups, there's BNI, there's chamber, there's Rotary. Like what have you found, Paul, is successful for you that you think would be applicable to our audience?
Yeah, there are a lot of different networking events like you and groups that you mentioned. I like the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
I'm very involved with the Greater North Fulton Chamber. It's
Nice.
where, our mutual friend who we discussed before we came on, John Ray, introduced me to that chamber. And now, I'm their diplomat chair. It's
Nice.
just a volunteer role, and I get a book of business and kind of facilitate new members and businesses with the different groups we have and help, facilitate introductions that they need. So that, and there's just such a big group out there because it's a regional chamber. It's Alpharetta, Roswell, Sandy Springs, all of the North Fulton area, instead of just like, one area. So that's
Sure.
been very helpful. Just,
So in your time, when you look at budgeting your time with your calendar, how much time are you allocating to the chamber?
yeah. So that is a good question because it is tricky when you're an entrepreneur and you're wearing all the different hats.
Yeah.
Wednesday mornings, today I was in Alpharetta for, I just got back to the office. I was out there all morning helping them and networking. We have different groups. So I just kind of have to, if we've got a client that's paying us and, there's a networking event, I'm obviously going to go with the client that's paying us.
Sure.
But I try to spend, each week is different depending on, what's going on. But it's all about prioritizing, what's important,
Okay.
what matters, how much effect is this going to have on
Sure.
my business?
Yeah. And then the last one that you shared there was surround yourself with good people.
Yeah.
So how have you would talk us through what that means for you? Is that something, is it a mastermind group that you've specifically joined, or is it just say, hey, I find like-minded business owners or people at church, a small group? What does that look like?
Yes, it can be church. There's a lot of great business leaders at the church that we go to. Um, but, you know, you can kind of tell when you're at one of these networking events. God has blessed me with a lot of discernment, and you can tell when you're in a room who everyone's gravitating towards. And if you kind of read the room and see who you need to be surrounding yourself with, good people, they don't have to be people of faith because that gives us the opportunity to be the example.
Sure.
If they're ethically, doing things right, they can teach you a lot in business. So.
I love that. That's really cool. So one of the questions I love to get from people that is just a great reminder that everyone makes mistakes. What is a mistake that you've made in the life of your business over the last decade, and what's something that you learned from
Wouldn't it be great if I could just say, well, I haven't had any? Like, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, I made the big mistake of thinking we could serve everyone.
Okay.
And, you have to niche down and know your target market, your target audience, because otherwise there's no way that we can be an expert in all fields for everyone. That's
Yeah.
God's job,
Yeah.
and so that was a mistake, embarrassingly, thinking that I was like out to save the world and I could do all this. My company will do this. And that's just, you can't serve others that way. So I suggest kind of, niching down. Ours wound up being a lot in for business service providers, but in the construction space and medical space.
Nice.
Uh, my father owns an architecture firm here in downtown Lawrenceville, and he's been in business for over 40 years. So we network a lot together. He'll design the hospital or doctor's office, and then we'll do the websites and marketing if need be.
I love that. A very good partnership that you're not competing against one another, but you can help bring each other business back and forth and provide more value to the client,
Yeah,
which is
absolutely.
definitely the best way to market
Right.
in
And
network in that area.
that's a good point too. Even at North Fulton Chamber, there's a ton of marketers and web designers that I talk to all the time. I don't look at them as competition. We each offer a unique service and a different style, and my company's not for everybody. And being able to have other people and being the person that's got a guy,
Yeah.
that's huge. So
Yeah.
when you don't, the world's big enough for all of us, so don't look at others as competition. And we refer each other business a lot.
I love that. Yeah, it's more of an open-handed mentality, right? It's
Yeah.
that there's an abundance mentality. Some people would say it that way. That it's this idea that there's a lot of work to go around, and we want to be a good steward of what we've been given. knowing that we can't be all things to all people. So that's important. And it is important to be someone who knows people in your community that you can refer other people to, which takes time. It takes time being involved in your business community. It takes time getting to know some other business owners, doing business with them, knowing who you can refer and not refer. That's a big deal. It provides more value to your clients, which keeps you top of mind to them when you're somebody they can trust.
Right. Absolutely. I agree with you 100%.
So Paul, tell us about the way that you scaled your team. You said earlier your team, y'all pray before meetings, so I think it's fantastic. What did it look like for you starting out? Did you start out a solopreneur? Did you do that for a long period of time, or was it you pretty quickly started hiring 1099 or W-2? Like what's kind of been your ramp on your employees?
Yeah. So it started out with, all right, so I was going back to school for the graphic design and the web design. And my wife, Amy, helped me with my degree, and she learned the programs as I was learning them.
Nice.
And she's a whole lot smarter than me. And so even though that degree is in my name, she's our lead designer now.
I love that.
So, that it started out with Amy and I. And, we kind of had to pivot a little bit because in school I learned all all things web development and web design and graphic design, but they didn't teach me anything about search engine optimization.
Okay.
That's SEO, which is a popular acronym right now, but it's all organic and how your website ranks against your competitors and just online in general, like on Google and search engines. So I quickly had to learn that, and I learned the hard way. We designed our company's website, which was the first website we designed, and it looked beautiful, but you couldn't find it. And so I always tell customers and clients, what's the point of having a beautifully
Yeah,
designed
if you can't
website
find it, if nobody
if you
can
can't
find it.
find it?
Yeah.
So then just building onto our team like that, within the past 2 years, and then obviously the marketing side, because of my background, that was added
Okay.
and more members of that team were added. And then later on, a videography team was added because people were asking for that to add video content to the website and to use for social media.
I
So
love that.
it's kind of grown in that way.
Yeah, that's really cool. So one of the questions I always love to get from people is a book. If you could get that book in the hand of every small business owner, what would that book be?
I've got it right next to me. My buddy who we mentioned, John Ray, The Generosity Mindset. Uh, you know, he doesn't come out and say this is a Christian book, but it is, the golden rule of treating others the way you want to be treated is all throughout this book. It's all about adding value to your clients and pricing. And, I wish that I had read that book 10 years ago. I had no idea how to price our services. There's really no set way, and they sure didn't tell me that in school. What's a website cost? What's a logo cost? How
Sure.
much does it cost to manage somebody's social media? So this book talks about value-based pricing and finding out what they need and then coming up with options price-wise, kind of a good, better, best scenario for them to choose the value that works for them. So, it's been instrumental for us, even reading it later on in my career. I wish I would have had that.
Yeah, I
When I
love
started.
that. Yeah, and I love John. I'm so glad he connected us.
You were
Um,
on his show
yeah, I
recently.
was. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's fantastic. So
Yes.
so talk to me about the good, better, best. Has that been one of your big takeaways of updating your pricing? Does that how do you go about? Does that take you more time? Is that you're spending a lot more time creating proposals and contracts for folks, or how have you found kind of the middle line there?
Yeah. So it does take more time, but it's time involved that you're getting to know your potential client to find that best fit client. When you understand what they need, you can offer a package right here. Hey, this is what we can do for you. This covers your basic needs. But then if you want to go, all the way to the extreme of riding first class with champagne or what have you, then we can come up with a best solution and you can call my cell phone in the middle of the night. So
I love
it's
that.
all about adding the value and understanding your client's needs.
Yeah, and allowing them to pick. I like that idea a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we love to talk about around here is commitments, not just goals. It's a little bit beyond that. It's, hey, as a business owner, I'm committed to doing this. You could be a goal, but it's just this idea of I'm drawing the line and saying I'm committed to doing this in this period of time. So a commitment for you in 2025, what would that be, Paul?
Well, my commitment in 25 will be the same as it always has been, and we've been talking about this, but to put God first. Um, God first, then family, then your business. And that's where so many people get it wrong, I feel like. People say, well, once I get my business here, then I can make the money to spend more time with my family. And that's backwards, and it feels different. But when you put God first, and then your family, and then your business, everything falls into place where it needs to be, and it's smooth. And I don't, things come up, of course, that are bumps in the road and hard and stressful as an entrepreneur, but it's not nearly as difficult. And if you listen, God will give you the answers to what you need. So put him first, and then put your family first before your business. I coach baseball for our son, and that's a blast, and that doesn't pay my bills, but being in the community of baseball when season's on, I mean, that's a time commitment.
Yeah,
But people are like, hey, you get to know each other. People are like, hey, what do you do? You own a web design and marketing company. It's a work winds up kind of coming out of that too.
I love that. I love that idea. So what's something practically that you do to keep God first?
A lot of prayer. I start my day with a devotional. Right now, our church, 12 Stone, has an Advent app through the Bible app.
Nice.
And, I just start my day. When I wake up, I start my day with prayer, and I ask for his guidance. I do my devotional. I just ask what he needs me to do. Where does he need me to serve? And he'll open those doors for you. And you just have to be willing to walk through them no matter what they are.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
love
always
that.
exciting. Yeah.
And then how about your
Sometimes scary,
family?
though.
It definitely can be scary. Yeah, for
Like,
sure.
start a business?
Yeah.
I hope he
Yeah.
doesn't tell me one day you got to leave your business and say you're successful now. You're
Yeah.
done.
You're
Like,
done. Yeah.
you're done. Yeah.
I love that. So Paul, what about your family? What's a way that you practically keep your family in priority in front of your business?
Yeah. So, well, I mentioned Amy works with us, and she leads the web design and graphic design side of our team. Even our son Anthony has been blessed with a creative mind. He'll design logos next to us and come up with
Wow.
business plans. So it's very family oriented. Like I mentioned, the baseball we do as a family, and we're very involved with our church too. So volunteering outside, different activities and groups that we have through church. That the more things we do like that together, you know, and people see us serving together, and that's
Sure.
that's very helpful and a good example for others, and
I love that.
we become closer that way.
Yeah, I love that. Well, Paul, man, I appreciate your time. I've got a couple more questions. Number one, if you're not watching, Paul has a bunch of Hot Wheels on the wall behind him. So tell us about the Hot Wheels. I have young boys. As soon as I saw it, I knew exactly what they were because we have a whole bunch of them in our house. What what
Yeah.
what is that? Tell us how that came about.
So our son, plays with Hot Wheels. He's 9 years old, and I love that he plays with them because I get to play with them again. And he brought home a little food truck. It was some kind of Hot Wheels anniversary from Walmart. And I love food trucks. I'm big into food things, and I thought it was a cool food truck. I started looking it up online, and it was worth like $80. And I was like, you got to be kidding me! He got it for free. And then my entrepreneur mindset, I started looking into Hot Wheels, and there's a big market for Hot Wheels. So him and I, it's nothing serious, just something fun that we
Sure.
collect and we trade and sell and go to shows together, and just
I
another
love
thing
that.
we can do as a family. That's
Yeah,
fun.
it's so fun.
Yeah,
And to teach him the value of providing value to somebody and receiving a reward for that's really, really cool.
for
So is
sure.
it that do they have to be in the box or can they be opened?
They don't have to be in the box. There's all different kinds. I
Nice.
continue to be blown away by how much some of these little cars are worth in the box and out of the box.
I love that. We have a bunch, and so
You should look them up.
I'm
You'll
thinking like,
start
hey, this is great. Let me get Walker and Abel looking through the things and
right.
finding some little gold nuggets here.
Right. Well, here's the thing, Matthew. You'll start looking them up on your phone, and then you'll be like, "My kid's playing with a really expensive toy." And that's what I
No,
did.
our youngest son's putting it in his mouth, Warren, and he's like, no,
Right.
no, no, that one's $60. No, please stop.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome, man. Well, let's close on this, Paul. What's a piece of advice you wish you would have had when you started your business, outside of maybe what you've already shared, or you can reiterate something that you've shared already?
Should I say don't start a business? I'm kidding.
There have been
No,
days we've all thought it.
don't do it. Yeah. No, honestly, when you start a business, you obviously you want to sell a product to a market that people need that item. Is there a need for your item? How badly do people need it or want it? And then, look at it as a long-term investment. The overnight success stories are not very common. You hear about them, and I think those are awesome, but typically that's not the way it goes.
Sure.
And, so just be ready to hunker down and stick through the down times and embrace the good times, but don't get too excited about those. Just look at it all as a learning experience and continue to learn, and just know that it's the longer you stick with it, usually the better it goes, especially if you're putting God first.
Yeah, I love that. That's fantastic. So let me ask one follow-up question with that. I'm sorry, I know we're running kind of
No.
towards the end of our time here. How would you advise somebody who's maybe a entrepreneur and they say, "Hey, I really want to get into business"? What advice would you have for them in valuing a potential market? The need. What steps would you give them to get into that kind of mindset?
Yeah. So it's always a good idea to kind of talk to other people that are in the industry already. Someone that you trust that's going to give you honest advice, preferably somebody that's been in it for a long time. If it's an untapped market, do some research online, maybe do some polls on social media, and get a feel for people that are non-biased, but definitely surround yourself with those people that can help you and advise you on if it's a good idea or not. Like when I went to school for the design, like I said, they didn't teach me anything about pricing. They didn't teach me anything about SEO. I had to learn all that,
Sure.
which has been kind of, in a way, it was a surprise, but in a way great, because that's a whole nother sector of our business. So,
Sure.
Be ready to accept the changes and embrace them. But yeah, just do your research online and ask other people if it's a good idea. And there's numbers out there too, online available for that type of market, that whatever it is you may be trying to start.
I love it. Well, Paul, brother, I appreciate your time. I'm so glad John connected us. Everybody, thank you for joining us on Market Mavericks. We'll see you soon. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Market Mavericks. We hope you're walking away inspired and ready to take your own adventure to the next level. Don't forget to follow the show to keep up with our latest episodes. And if you enjoyed today's conversation, make sure to subscribe, share it with others who could benefit. And hey, if you know a market maverick who has a story that needs to be heard, please drop their name in the comments. We would love to bring their insights to the show. Until next time, keep pushing boundaries and leading with purpose.